Assalamu alaikum all of you. So today we are going to study about the secondary storage. Now secondary memory or secondary storage is something that you may say that if it's not present in your system, so your system will operate without which or you may say without 100% efficiency actually. Okay, I just gave an example in few of the sessions earlier that for an example, God forbids if you are not having a one of the hand or a limb or a leg, so it's not something like that you can't operate, you cannot do anything. No, you can operate, yeah, but without 100% efficiency. So similarly, when it comes to secondary storage devices is something that if they are not present in your system, so your system won't operate with 100% efficiency. Okay, or I think so. I just said won't. No, it will operate. I'm sorry about that. I beg your pardon. So it will operate, yeah, without 100% efficiency. Now, if I'm going to categorize the secondary storage devices, so secondary storage devices are categorized into two categories. First one is the magnetic that contains with the hard disk drives, and the other one is the solid state that contains the solid state drives. Now, when it comes to the hard drives or the hard disk drives, so how the hard disk drives are actually working on. So for the hard disk drive, there is something on my screen. Yeah, okay. So when it comes to the hard disk drive, so this is the case that you usually see. That's a magnetic material. On this magnetic material, data is stored in the form of the platters. Now platters means that there are few of the small partitions in here. So the data over here is stored as a form of a platter. And this skin rotates either in the clockwise direction or either in the anti-clockwise direction about 7,000 times a second, whereas it makes one more movement that is from the center to the corner and back from the corner to the center, that is 50 times a second. Actually the read write head is moving over there. So this is how you are going to store the data on a hard disk drive. Yeah, but there was a major issue with the hard disk drive that is regarding a latency. Latency means that the time to access the data. So the latency rate was quite high over here. So if the latency rate is quite high, that means the data is accessing after quite a long time. So like you may say, it's a human nature, if anything is slow you do not like that. So the latency rate was quite high over here, so that's quite slow. That's the reason we just bring up you may say the better option for this thing, and that was solid state drives. Okay, now they do have the hardest drive do have a issue with the latency, but there is one more thing that is quite good into it, that is longevity. The longevity over here is quite good, or you may say that it is excellent over here. There is no issue with the longevity when it comes to the hard disk drives. When it comes to solid state drives, so solid state drives are actually making a utilization of a NAND or a NOR chip, and the data over here is stored. Okay, now what is a NAND and a NOR chip? So these are the types of the gates. We will be learning them in our P2 Boolean logics. Okay, so the data over here is stored in the form of the digital format, that is within the zeros and the ones. Now the major drawback, or you may say the first of all the benefit of an SSD was the latency or latency rate. The latency rate within the SSDs was quite low. That means the data accessing speed was quite higher over here or quite faster over here. But there was a major issue, that is something that is known as the longevity. Now the longevity over here is quite less. It says if you are going to write 20 GB of the data, write means install. If you are going to install 20 GB of the data on the daily basis on a 3 years period of time, So the life of an SSD will be winded up. Now how are you going to write? Like for example, you do have a 128 GB of the hard drive, so you just wrote 20 GB. Okay, you delete that 20 GB on the next day, and then again you install 20 GB on it, then again you delete it, and again you are going to install it. So in this similar format, if you are going to do this for the consecutive 3 years, so the life of an SSD will be winded up. So that was a major drawback for an SSD. Yes, SSD do have multiple advantages more over an HDD, that's a hard disk drive. They are saying that it's quite thin because there are no moving parts. That there was a moving part in the HDD, that's a magnetic material. They run much cooler again because there is no moving part, so there is no friction. They consume low power because there is again no moving part over there, so they are consuming low power. They are quite portable easily as well, as they are saying much cooler, lighter, less power consumption. They are thin and no moving parts. So these are few of the further benefits of utilizing an SSD. So in this method, we just done with the categories of the secondary storage that comes with the magnetic and a solid state drives, or an HDD or solid state drives. In the next session, we will be doing with the optical storage medias. Thank you so much.